Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you for tuning in and joining me as I explore the wide world of pens. And it is a wide world, and I certainly am committed to exploring as much of it as I can. Henceforth, we have a box in front of us. I haven't received a pen in a box for a while, and this is that classic shipment where it gets an over label, and the return is JFK here, and then the U.S. Post Office delivers the last minute. And it is an actual box, like I mentioned. It's been opened, and we found the pen nicely packaged in a bunch of bubble wrap envelope. We open up the envelope and we see a pen inside of a cellophane sleeve, and it's a very interesting looking pen. We're going to call it an antique brass pocket pen. And also, they included a bunch of cartridges. And we know how I feel about cartridges, but this pen design, as we will see, only accepts cartridges. So I've never seen a pen that looks like this. Interesting heavy-duty roll stop, and it kind of mimics the end of the pens, and which end is which is a good question. Let's see if we can find out. It's where you would expect it, opposite the roll stop, and we'll see a very, very long section. And it has threads on it, which facilitate posting that barrel, if you want to call it that, and it makes for a fairly long pen, very, very thin. But pocket pens aren't known for girth. You have your classic number 5 nib. I think that may be the first generic one I've seen with a two-tone. And, the brass is well machined. I'm okay with this antique finish. There appears to be some lacquer on it. And as we would expect, this unscrews, and we find a cartridge. And you'll notice that it's not the same as the Hero cartridges, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's the pen. We're just going to do a quick write, some editorial comments, and call it a wrap. So you can see it's a little bit skippy. So I don't know. I'm not a cartridge person. If a cartridge isn't flowing correctly, is it the cartridge? Is it the pen? Is it the feed? Is it the nib? Too many variables for me. And you don't have a converter that you can use to force ink through there in case there might be some air or whatever in the feed. I don't know. And this is a very extra fine nib. I mean, when it writes and there's good ink flow, it feels okay on the paper. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of that very thin section to hold. We'll give you the dimensions of the section. But it's a pocket pen. It's small. It's petite. There's not a lot that you can do with it within this form factor. But I think they did a nice job aesthetically, and it does function if you can deal with that nib and that section. So I did mention I had some problems with the first cartridge, and here's the first cartridge I tried to put in. Pushing that cartridge into that end of the section and dislodging that ball which is there just took a lot of pressure. And then I did my usual thing. I put it nib down and let it set for a little bit. And then when I took the cap off, what we're calling the cap, is full of ink. Everything had just flown out of the cartridge. I'm certain this is an anomaly, but I just don't have any luck with cartridges, so therefore I'm blaming the cartridge. And that's why I went to the other Bock Schmidt, Jovo cartridge, standard international, that appears to work better in the pen. But still, the ink flow is not what I like, and I don't really have options. I could try other cartridges, but then you go through a bunch of cartridges. I could wrench one of these out and put some more ink in it, but I'm not that motivated to do that. So there's the difference between the Hero cartridge here and the cartridge I put in, which is part of a bunch of cartridges that I've gotten from Karas Pens, which fit Bock, Jovo, standard international short cartridge, which, like I said, is the only thing that fits inside this pen. So here we have the vintage antique brass pocket fountain pen, partially disassembled, but I think that's about as far as it's going to go. Just a standard number 5 generic steel nib, definitely a fine. The nib and feed pulled out with a little bit of effort, but that's just your classic injection molded feed. And it looks like it could be an unscrew assembly, but it wouldn't unscrew. So I pulled out the nib and feed. So that's where we're at. Let's bring in the LED X-ray and see what we can see. Now we're in darken mode, and we'll bring in the LED light. First thing I want to do is look inside here, and it's just basically all brass, solid, and the barrel exactly the same. Looks like it's a two-piece construction with this finial attached to it, kind of like that roll stop is. So this is nothing unusual, but the design is nice, feels good in the hand. It doesn't, there we go, there's that flat spot in the feed assembly, so the nib and feed will go in one way. I like the look. So for comparison's sake, and to show you how small this antique brass pocket pen is, here's some other metal pocket pens. Nice black one, and these two are different types of finishes. This one is more of the antique finish, similar to the one on this pen, and these are also screw to post, and so is this one. Here's one in that fire finish, and here's one of the original ones that I got years and years and years ago. I did a video on removing the lacquer, and here it is after it's been sitting in the drawer for a year or so. It kind of oxidizes a little bit and has that interesting patina color, which they try to emulate with different types of finishes. But just to put things in perspective, yes, I do have a lot of metal pocket pens. And just to show you, all of those pocket pens have converters in them. And yes, I probably could have taken this converter out of this black pen because it's very tiny and used it in the antique brass pen, but I wanted to try a cartridge. And the other pens can take full-size converters. That was one thing I really thought was nice about Moonman when they were called that, and making these pocket pens made certain the design accommodated a regular size converter, unlike some other pocket pen manufacturers. So I normally talk about the purchase of the pen because I buy almost all the pens that I review. Here's my AliExpress order, and here's the current listing. As you can see, the price has dropped considerably from what I paid. And the other thing is you now get an optional little pouch to put the pen in. So I'm impressed with how much the price has dropped. Does it change my view of the pen? No. But if you happen to like the pen, it's certainly an attractive price. So now we've come for some editorial comments. I'll show you some dimensions. And let's do a rating. We'll zoom in a little bit. I'm not going to waste a lot of paper on this. So to me, I'm going to rate this pen a 2.0. Because I like saying 2.0. It gets one check because it is cute and it looks nice and it is functional, but that cartridge with that nib and feed just don't work well for me. Occasionally, as you can see, it writes nice, but as you saw, it skipped right away, and it skipped in my earlier writing example. So I've reached the end of this video. Thank all of you for watching. It's a pain in the butt pen to use over the camera. Hope this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens. And if this one happens to be one you enjoy, I think that's great. It's just not one that I enjoy. So this is the end. And we'll say bye. Moving on to another pen.